Alright, what's going on everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about this knife, and by the title of the video I'm sure you can tell this is my first knife. The reason I wanted to make this video was because I have a lot of knives that I'm going to be posting videos on, and I kind of just wanted to do a throwback, if you will, and kind of venture back into what got me into knives and what I started out with. You know, this knife brings back a lot of memories, and you know, I'm grateful to still have it. I've definitely lost some knives when I was younger and growing up, and you know, this was my first knife, so needless to say, I'm very excited to walk you guys through it. First things first, this knife is from Walmart. I remember my parents buying this for me when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure I was in middle school when I told them to buy this for me. And I saw this knife at Walmart. This came in a three-piece set, I guess, like a gift set. And I remember begging my mom and dad to buy it for me, and I think this was maybe $20 back then for the whole set. So needless to say, they bought it for me, and I started using it ever since. As a kid, I remember being able to wear this on me at school. Highly do not recommend doing that, especially nowadays. Things are with as hectic as they are. Don't recommend carrying a knife in school. Check with your local authority in school on that, but I would carry this every now and then. Things were laid back then when I was in school, so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't carry it every single day. This was more of a once every couple weeks I'd wear it, if that. And we'll go ahead and start talking about the knife. So first things first that I noticed right away is the pocket clip. So you have the W here for Winchester. This is a Winchester knife, and it's a really big pocket clip. Thinking back and looking back at other knives that I've carried and had, you know, you get into the deep carry pocket clips, but Benchmade, for example, has a deep carry pocket clip that is small or even half the size of this. So this is a really big pocket clip, but I will say it is comfortable. It is kind of flexible, so I think one of the reasons I was able to keep this knife and not lose it as much was the fact that it's big. I mean, this thing will sit pretty deep in there in your pocket if you do put it in there, and you know, it'd be pretty hard for it to accidentally fall out, you know. And never had any issues with it back then that I can recall in terms of losing it. Misplacing it, yes, but it leaving my pocket without me knowing, I never had an issue with that. So next we're going to talk about the grips. These are wood grips. I don't know what type of wood these are, but I would assume they're just your standard wood grips that come on any $20 knife. Nothing fancy or crazy about it. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the jimping on the spine. This guy does have some jimping right here, and you know, looking back at it now, even now it still has some pretty good jimping on it. It's odd in the sense that it's smooth jimping, but it's aggressive jimping at the same time. Like, it's been broken in and wore down, but you can still get a grip on it should you need that grip, if that makes sense. So this guy is a folding knife. It's not an auto, it's not a spring-loaded knife, it's just a standard thumb stud opening knife. Going off of that, you know, opening and closing this thing is kind of heavy. I can't really think of the words to explain it, but it's definitely a little bit more sturdy in opening it. It's not as smooth. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell. I might have to take pictures of this, but the washers in here are warped from what I can tell. It just looks like they're not the way that they used to be. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but this is a pretty old knife, so been worn down as much as possible leading up towards now. But you know, overall, compared to other knives that I'm currently carrying, this feels right about right in terms of a $20 knife. Did want to mention quickly, this thing is a little bit thick in my opinion. Again, it's a $20 knife, so you can't really expect too much, but the grips seem to be a little thicker, and it just seems kind of bubbly here in the middle and just kind of bubbles out. But you know, I've grown to like slimmer, thinner knives. Next thing we're going to talk about is the blade shape. This is a drop point, and that is probably one of my favorite blade styles. Up next to it is going to be the Tonto blade, but talking about this knife in particular, you know, the blade is just completely shot. I mean, I remember carving into trees, I remember cutting twine, I remember cutting zip ties, rope, boxes, tape, you name it. I mean, this thing was used and abused, man. Surprised it still has a tip, but nonetheless, there are serrations here. This is obviously half serrated, and I think that's where my love for serrations comes in. I learned very quickly that should your blade be dull, you know, you can always rely on your serrations, and if you need to cut into something more aggressively, the serrations, the teeth, you know, on here will get that job done. And you know, growing up on a 100-acre ranch, you know, I didn't use it as much, but you know, twine, zip ties, all that stuff, you know, sticks, I remember cutting those in half or with this knife, and you know, this never had an issue. And again, looking back at it, for a $20 knife, it still has pretty sharp teeth after it's been through a lot. You know, that's really impressive, and I think serrations have proven to me personally that, you know, you can use these on harsher materials, should that be the case in whatever you use a knife. So one thing that I've heard throughout the years is, you know, I guess purists or people that are in the knife world, knife community, don't like serrations. I don't know how true that is, but anytime I say I like a knife with serrations, I get scolded. People just say, oh, what's wrong with you? You know, a full blade is all you need. And you know, I beg to differ. I mean, I use the crap out of my knives, guys. You know, from a little kid up until now. You know, if there's a knife with an option with serrations on it, I'll most likely take it. I have grown to plain edge blades, but again, you know, if it looks good and the serrations look good with it, then I'll most likely pick that over a plain edge. Other than that, the knife centering on this guy is pretty much all the way to the right. You know, I'm sure I could adjust that after this video, but there's no need. I mean, I'm not going to use this knife. I haven't used this knife in about 20 plus years, but overall a great knife. You know, I got bigger hands now. This thing is tiny compared to my hands now, but what a great starter knife. So just wanted to make that video for you guys. Again, you know, I'll be making videos of other knives that I'll be carrying for every month, and can't wait to show you guys those videos and share my knives with you guys. I'm loving knives and I have a knife collection and very interested in it, and I just want to share that with you guys and be in the community that I am in terms of knives. So that's my Winchester knife. That's my very first knife. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.